Hey, everybody's Pat Jones, and we're here for another TurfZoom brought to you by Aquatrols. Today's pretty special. We have two guests with us, both of whom just participated in hosting one of the top events of the year on PGA Tour, and that'd be Jon Urbanski and Tom McFeeley from Wilmington Country Club. Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, Pat. Thanks for having us today. This is a wonderful opportunity to sit and speak with you.
Yeah, Pat, good to see you. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Tom, when last we saw each other very briefly during the event, you guys had big smiles on your face, and it was kind of midweek, and things were terrific, and they continue to be terrific. Give me, Jon, the sort of your version of the week that was, and how it felt.
I mentioned this to the staff and volunteers on Championship Sunday morning before we headed out. It was, there's a few days in my life that are exceptionally special to me. I got married to my wife, Katie, the birth of our two children, Alexa and Johnny, and the BMW Championship. And it's still there. I mean, as I reflect upon the week, and actually not just the week, I mean, it's the 2 years leading up to it when the tornado happened. I don't want to say it's a culmination of great things, because, this is just the start of our journey here. And we have so many more things to accomplish. But the BMW, again, what a remarkable experience. I mean, memories for a lifetime, to be able to share with our team, to share with the volunteers. I mean, to see some folks come back that I've worked with in my past, and they're, great superintendents in their own right. That was just a tremendous amount of pride in seeing people, how they rose to the occasion, particularly our grounds team, and everything that they have accomplished. I'm just so incredibly proud of them, and couldn't do this without them. And Tom being our South Course superintendent, I mean, he deserves all the credit, quite frankly, for a remarkable week.
How did you divide things up? Because you have a pretty good leadership team. Tom, you took the lead on South Course prep, I assume. But so how did you divide up the various duties? Because there's also this giant logistical issue of setting up all the bleachers and setting up the stands and the merchandise tents and stuff. How did you divvy things up?
Yeah, what's great about the BMW is that, it's put on by the Western Golf Association, and the BMW is morphed into what was the Western Open. And the Western Golf Association, I will say, is an unbelievable organization to work with. They handle all the tournament ops in terms of hospitality and outside vendors and things of that nature. And then of course you have the PGA Tour, which are just fantastic. It's just a fantastic organization with Paul Vermeulen as the lead agronomist, and Stephen Cox and Stephen Toole as the referees. But internally here, Tom with Cody Sander and Braden Thomas, they were handling like the day-to-day agronomics of the South Golf Course, and Brett Snyder's our North Course superintendent, and he was kind of our director of tournament operations, and he was kind of charged with making sure our volunteers were well taken care of, setting up a tournament break room, along with our office manager, Debbie Ellis, and handling uniforms. Two other assistants that helped Brett throughout the year, Gavin Kopczynski and Nick Legan. We pulled them over to the South as well, well ahead of the tournament, and they were two of our primary greens waters during the week, along with an intern named Jack Brown out of Penn State. So total team effort. I mean, it was, again, everyone just came together fantastically, just as one unit. And it was great to just kind of stand back and watch this all take place. So I'm very fortunate to be in the position that I am.
Tom, did your agronomic plan sort of play out the way you had hoped? The weather turned out great, but yeah, everybody sort of builds that plan around, okay, Friday before the tournament's our final spray, or whatever it might be. Did that work out the way you thought it was going to?
Yeah, so we made some adjustments. I remember Jon and I sitting down day after day after day, talking things through, checking out the weather, various sprays. We made those necessary adjustments as the weather changed. Maybe adjusting a rate on a certain product because we think we're going to get this much rain, or lowering a rate whatever it may be.
Right.
I would say things turned out pretty well. We're pretty happy with it.
It seemed like it. The reviews were just terrific, and what I saw of the golf course was consistent. It looked healthy. It was consistent from hole to hole. I think a lot of people had some fun with talking about green speeds, but it just seemed like it was right where it needed to be. So congrats on that. So the big question is always kind of, what did you learn from the process, Jon? I mean, what did you going in? Were there things that you thought were going to be one way that turned out a different way, or was it on plan?
I think like Tom was saying, we had a really strong agronomic plan going into all this and some added protection sprays. Our biggest issues that we were really kind of faced with were, how's our rough going to perform? And we took a lot of care into that, and to ensure that we could get to a height and it was playable and it wouldn't lay over for the PGA. So that was one of the things that we were really focused in on. We have all the modern grasses on our fine turf surfaces, with the tie on the greens and 007 on fairways and tees. So we knew those were going to perform really, really well. It was just a caveat to the rough. And then obviously Mother Nature is holds all the cards, year to year. It's either feast or famine. And it seemed like when we needed rain, we got rain. And when we didn't need it, we didn't get the rain. So again, it just kind of all panned out. I mean, you couldn't script it any better. I mean, gosh, Championship Sunday, Pat, I mean, we're all hanging out. It's like 11 o'clock at night and boom, the skies open up and we needed a water. And Mother Nature gave us rain on Championship Sunday at 11 o'clock at night, gave us 3/4 of an inch of rain to start off our restoration efforts, if you will. And, but I think the biggest thing going in was the rough and how that performed. We're now in the mode of, hey, what did we do? What did we do really well? What did we do good that we can improve on? And what do we really need to do the next time we host something like that? So we're now starting to take that retrospective look and try and devise those plans for the next event, whatever that's going to be, which we have no clue. I mean, it could be 5, 7, 10 years down the road. We have no idea at this point.
But you feel like the club wants to continue to host events?
I think it still remains to be seen. The jury's out. I can tell you personally, I love, just from this one experience, I love tournament golf now. I mean, but I'm at a different point in my life as well. I think you all come out of turf school and you're all full of all this vigor and you're like, God, I want to host a major and whatnot. And then sometimes life gets in the way for good or bad. And for me, it was raising a family was more important. But now my kids are old enough that, hey, this opportunity fell in our lap. I mean, this really, the club wasn't really searching for this. And when it came our way, like, yeah, this would be great. And so, to have this presented to us, I mean, again, it was just truly a blessing for all of us.
How special, because I happened to be there when your daughter Alexa was there. How special was it to have she and Johnny and your wife out there? Because I think this is something too few superintendents take the opportunity to do when they're hosting an event, is bring their families out there and share it with them and make them part of that process. How special was that for you?
Tremendously, again, memories for a lifetime. And, that's how we operate here with our culture. We're one big family. We want to make sure that, hey, we put family first, even though that this is a very demanding job, and that, if it's a first day of school thing, hey, go see your kids off on the school bus. I mean, that's one thing you'll never, ever get back. And, I take that with a lot of advice from superintendents when I was a young superintendent back in Baltimore. And there were two guys, Steve Potter and Mark Merrick, that basically pulled me aside and said, your kids are only young once. Don't miss out on anything. And, I try to tell that to all our guys and girls that we work with, that, make sure you're there for your family. I mean, we no matter what operation you're in, I don't care if you're an 18-hole facility and you only have one assistant with you, or you have the luxury of what we have here at Wilmington Country Club, you got to be able to take the time to relish in those special moments and You know, and if you can't, then there's maybe something that you need to look at and try to readjust. And not saying that you're doing it wrong, but you know, we definitely have a strong enough team here that we can say, all right, go take vacation, go be with your family, and that's very important to me that our people do that, and you know, we'll continue to do that going forward. But yeah, to answer your question, I mean, it was fantastic. I mean, you know, be able to walk 18 holes with my daughter, 9 holes with my son. You know, getting my son out of bed is an act of Congress. You know, he's a special kid. He's on the spectrum for autism, and he's and to have him out there with 9 holes, and then on Sunday with Katie, you know, the final inspection, you know, the last people on the greens, you know, ahead of the top 70 coming out and teeing up for the final round. I mean, that was near and dear to my heart for sure.
And good for you for representing fathers with autistic kids. It's so important that we educate people about that. What was your best moment, Tom? What was the one you'll look back and just that moment where you looked around and thought, okay, this was awesome. What was that moment for you?
I don't know if I could boil it down to one moment, but I think the important thing the whole way along the whole journey towards it was, our big thing was to enjoy the journey. So really looking back on it, the best memories that I have are the weeks and months and year to 2 years leading up to the tournament. And,
Yep.
you know, all the bonds that I've created with the staff here and our key personnel and Jon and folks in other departments. I mean, just the experience as a whole. You know, we're doing all this leading up to, when it comes down to it, what is just 4 days. But the most fun for me was the journey getting there. And that was something we really tried to push towards the younger guys and really the staff as a whole, to just
Right.
enjoy it. And it was great. It was spectacular.
You know, but one thing that was kind of the surprise was 2 years ago, out of the blue, you have this big tornado, this big storm, and you lose a couple hundred trees, a lot of damage, but with problems come opportunity. Tell us about that, Jon, about that moment where you thought, okay, this stinks, but.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You know, it was all opportunity. You know, we lost 300 plus trees in a matter of 5 minutes. There was debris strewn all over basically 2 corridors of the South Golf Course. We never reopened. I mean, we were still in a pandemic too. I mean, it was August of 2020. And, you know, at that point in time, I went to our manager, Phil Ionelli, and I said, you know, I don't think it makes any sense to use our labor to go back and fix all these bunkers and all, and on both golf courses, quite frankly. And I really kudos to the club and Phil to take the tack that, you know, we brought in a few companies and we tackled the North Golf Course, got that open within a week, you know, rehabbed all the bunkers there. And then, you know, we were presently working with Andrew Green at the time, and we kind of just fast forward, you know, we basically said to him in 2019, like, oh, yeah, we don't need you to like 25 or 26 or even 2027. And like, boom, hey, Andrew, we need you to come here now because we need to refurbish the South. But also we got the PGA Tour coming and they want to add bunkers, they want to add tees. And, you know, of those 300 trees, we lost 2 of the 3 original white oaks on the property. And 1 sat behind our 14th hole, which played as number 3 for the championship.
Yep.
And it was a beautiful 250-year-old plus, you know, white oak, gorgeous. And by that tree coming down, we had the opportunity to move that 14th green complex back 60 yards to kind of strengthen that par 5. Yeah. And I mean, just the work that Andrew did and McDonald and Sons did with the South Golf Course, it's unreal. And it was great to see, you know, the placement of these bunkers, you know, utilizing the information from the tour, where they really came into play during the championship. So again, just a huge opportunity to go in and kind of update the golf course, if you will.
And amazing that you squeezed Andrew and McDonald in there because they were busy. You know, Andrew's right in the middle of Oak Hill and Scioto and some other big projects. So the fact that you were able to get this done on that timeline is just astounding. And then look around a few weeks ago when we saw the tournament course. There was no, it did not look like it had been blown up and rebuilt. in a short
Yeah,
time.
no, you know, it's funny. We're 2 weeks past the tournament now, and I've only watched about 30 minutes of the broadcast. I literally watched almost no golf during the week itself.
Yeah.
And yeah, every time I turn it on and watch the video, taking some notes, and yeah, it does. I mean, there was a golf shot by Will Zalatoris out of those bunkers right there on that particular golf hole, and I'm just like, wow. I mean, our staff is just truly amazing. I mean, look at that. I mean, look at the turf, look at the sand. It's just, it was just, again, just a very prideful moment. And I wait with bated breath to continue to watch the broadcast here.
Well,
So,
in small doses, it's small doses.
yeah, yeah.
So tell me how important the industry support you had there, because I was there. You obviously had the folks from Finch and other partners there. How, for people who haven't hosted an event like this, tell them how important it is to have that support from the community.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's so tremendously important. I mean, there's, you know, when an organization makes a decision to host a tournament like this, you know there's going to be expenses with it. But when you need those, the extra staff to take care of the course for the week, and with, you know, the 125 volunteers we had, I mean, we had the ability to go out and mow pretty much every entity on the South Golf Course every morning, and that doesn't get done without vendor support. And you know, the folks that we work with and what the club has worked with for years and decades. You know, the guy you mentioned, Finch and John Deere. I mean, the Finch Turf has had a long-standing relationship with Wilmington Country Club well before me. And they've been a tremendous supporter of the club, and they were our title sponsorship, and I wouldn't have done it without anyone else. And you know, I was just sending an email to a good friend, Paul Schultes from Finch Turf, and it's just, you know, 20 years ago, I'm in Tom's seat. I'm the South Course superintendent, and Paul is like a lowly salesperson, and to see Paul rise to where he is now, you know, in the position that he is with Finch, and I'm fortunate enough to be here now as director. You know, it's great to see friends prosper like that. And but again, getting back to the vendor support, I mean, the uniforms, the meals, you know, you're basically having a wedding every day of the week for, you know, and feeding people 3 square meals a day, and the lodging that comes with the national support of volunteers. You know, you just couldn't do it without that. And you know, the folks that we work with, from our chemical and fertilizer distributors to our equipment distributors, I mean, very, very thankful for all their support. And if you're thinking about doing this, you know, feel free to reach out to us. We're an open book here. We're willing to share anything. So yeah, please reach out.
You mentioned earlier too, somebody who's critical to this process when you have one, which is an assistant, an admin, and you're fortunate enough to have a veteran admin. How important is that in terms of having to deal with all the details and signing stuff and getting people paid and all those things that you have to do during an event like this?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, our office manager, Debbie Ellis, she's, you know, has kept things straight for us with contracts. I mean, you know, rental fleets of carts and things of that nature. You know, you mentioned our property is a little tight, and it is. I mean, we're built out to the seams here, you know, within the Forsythia line that we have. And you know, our staff volunteer lot was on our North Golf Course in our you know, I'd say our southeastern part of the property, and we had to use 6-person shuttles that we ended up renting, you know, golf cars from a vendor. And you know, that alone, I mean, that's just one contract out of many that we had to execute for all this, and
Right.
you know, to go through just the menu alone for the meals during the week, and just say, okay, hey, you know, we don't need to have this, but we need to have that. So
Right.
yeah, that administrative support, and then the support just getting the tournament break room ready. You know, I mean, that was, you know, you're taking a barn or, you know, a block building that usually stores equipment, and then, you know, let's turn it into, you know, make sure it has all the creature comforts of home in there. So,
Well, you did a fabulous job. It was very cool. Tom, what's next for you? We talked about this a little bit earlier. It sounds like you're not in a hurry to go anyplace, but sometimes opportunities arise. And I know, Jon, you're thinking about, okay, where are we going to have to fill gaps moving forward? But but it sounds like, Tom, that you're comfortable where you're at for a bit, and you're just going to see how things play out.
Yes, incredibly happy here. I just feel so fortunate that I ended up here. I ended up in this position. I ended up with Jon and the team that Jon put around me. Things couldn't be any better. And Jon is always the first person to say, "Hey, if you can build a better life for yourself, then build a better life for yourself." And that's what I appreciate about him the most. There's a lot of good things going on here, a lot of exciting stuff, even post tournament. So I can continue to build the resume and the portfolio. So no, there's no plans to move along anytime soon here.
Well, it's not a who you know business, it's a who you work for business, and you're doing pretty good. So I
That's
think
right.
you're gonna like it. So if you could have waved the magic wand during tournament week and changed one thing, Jon, what would it have been? Is there anything that you could imagine that could have been better or differently? You said you've done a little bit of a postmortem. Anything come to mind?
Yeah. There was a few weeks ahead of the event that we had some weed infestations and whatnot, and we just made the decision, Tom and I and Cody, like, all right, we're not going to spray any more weeds. This is what we got. And with that, again, we start making our plans for next year, and our herbicide applications, be it pre-emergent, post-emergent, and make us better for next year. I guess if that's one thing, I don't know. I mean, it was such a great week. I mean, I don't know if you know this, Pat, but this is my hometown. This is where I grew up. And for me, when I did have the opportunity to ride out on the golf course, with Paul and starting to check greens in the afternoon, the people that would yell across from a golf hole, "Hey, Jon, hey, that, this." I mean, it was just, that's special. I mean, sorry, I'm going to start to cry, but it was very special to me.
Well, you were, and this got brought out by the media and a couple other places, kind of representing Delaware here. This was the first big event ever in Delaware golf history, and you got to ride shotgun, which is pretty damn neat.
Yeah, a lot of people made this happen. Again, I'm very fortunate to be in the position I am today, and very thankful for everyone along the way. I mean, there's so many people, and there's no way, I don't think I could ever really personally thank everyone, but anyone that's been associated with my life, be it school, be it sports, be it in this industry, there's a big thank you to all of you out there, and really, really sincerely appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate your time, and yours too, Tom. I think that people learn from the experiences of folks like you. We all stand on the shoulders of giants, and to be able to share a few things and to express your willingness to have, call me up. I'll tell you what we did. That's so important in this industry. So I'm delighted for that. And I know the people at Aquatrols really appreciated the time to come out and visit during tournament week. And you got a guy like Tom Valentine, who's been around every event and seen everything you can see in that part of the country. And he had set a huge smile on his face, seeing the success that you had.
Yeah. Tom's one of those guys I've known for a while. And, thanks to you, Pat, to Ashley at Aquatrols, for when you guys are out here. I mean, you guys are putting stuff out on social media and all that support. I mean, it means a lot. It means a lot for our program here, and to see you guys cast us in that light. So I just want to thank you guys for that, and thank you for this opportunity too. It means a lot, and I really wanted Tom to be on here and showcase him. I mean, he's the face of our South Golf Course, and he did an outstanding job.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how Tom does moving forward. We'll see if he makes a cut, but I like his chances. But again, thank you so much for your time, guys. And I really do hope that this, looking back, just turns out to be the experience of a lifetime, but it sure sounds like it was. So thank you. And once again, thanks to our friends at Aquatrols for bringing you another episode of TurfZoom. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you, Pat.